Homer? Homer?
Yellow.
Homer, there's a man here who thinks he can help you.
Batman?
No, he's a scientist.
Batman's a scientist.
It's not Batman.
Before we get started, thank you very much to everyone who entered into my giveaway on my last video. The winners of the 2 Full Art Professor Oaks were King Cygnus and Lorenzo Villani. Congratulations to the 2 of you. If you could leave your PTCGO username in the comments down below, I'll make sure that I can send those cards through to you as soon as possible. Buried beneath the release of Celebrations were the 2 Evolving Skies V Battle Decks, Rayquaza V and Noivern V. Today we're going to take a look at Noivern V, what you get in that particular product, and how you can upgrade it to win some games on the standard ladder. So here are the 60 cards that we receive with our Noivern V Battle Deck. It's important to note that V Battle Decks are Tier 1 products, which means that they are designed for players that are brand new to the Pokemon TCG. It's a very, very good place to start, but it's not necessarily the most competitive. But there are some things that we can do to turn this particular deck into a winner. Firstly, let's look at Noivern itself. I really like this artwork. This is the promo artwork of Noivern. It has 200 HP on a V Pokemon. That's pretty solid. Its first attack, Boom Burst, for 1 Psychic Energy deals 20 damage to each of our opponent's Pokemon, which is very, very nice. And then Synchro Loud deals 60 for a Psychic and a Darkness Energy, and then it deals an extra 120 damage if we have the same amount of cards in our hand as our opponent. Now, we can get the same amount of cards in our hand relatively easily, thanks to 4 copies of Copycat, which come with the theme deck. We shuffle our hand into our deck and then draw cards equal to the number of cards that our opponent has in their hand. A very, very nice little system there. We also have a couple of copies of Golbat and Crobat. This Zubat line is really, really cool. Discrete draw on both of these Pokemon. Drastic draw on Crobat allows you to draw some extra cards. 2 on Golbat, 3 on Crobat, to give you the edge over your opponent. Unfortunately, the rest of this deck is not necessarily super strong, so what I've done is I've changed around a few cards, added some, subtracted others, to try and give us the best chance to win some games on standard. We'll take a look at that list now. So here is the upgraded version of the list. You can find it down in the description if you would like to play it, and whilst you're there, feel free to like the video as well. That would be a fantastic help. What I've done, I've added in 3 more copies of Noivern V, 3 copies of the Evolving Skies print. Obviously, this is our main attacker, so we want to be utilizing it as frequently as possible. I think it's a very, very good card to get started in the game, so we need to get 4 of them. I've also increased the amount of draw cards that we get through Golbat and Zubat, increasing it from a 3-3-2 line to a 4-4-3 line, so 1 extra copy of each of those cards. Not too difficult to get a hold of. The most expensive card in the deck is a copy of Crobat V. It's not too easy, not too hard, sorry, to get your hands on at the moment, but it obviously will set you back a little bit. You don't need to play this if you don't want to. You can always just put in a 4th copy of Drastic Draw Crobat. The other thing that I've done is tried to make it as easy as possible to deal 1, the most amount of damage as possible, and 2, to make sure that we have the same amount of cards in our hand as our opponent. So instead of Great Ball, we've replaced that with Quick Ball, which allows us to discard cards from our hand. Very, very nice. We've also got Scoop Up Net in order to pick up Pokemon off of the bench, just in case our opponent has a very big hand size. We've also got, as well as our 4 copies of Crobat, 4 copies of Marnie. This allows us to shuffle our hand, put it on the bottom of the deck, and then draw 5 cards. Our opponent draws 4. All we need to do then is get 1 playable card, and we'll have the same amount of cards in hand, which just gives us another option to get that Synchro Loud attack off. And I've also added in a few copies of Telescopic Sight. This one's not necessarily to help you get the same amount of cards in hand. Instead, it's to allow you to deal a little bit more damage to benched Pokemon V and GX Pokemon with our first attack, Boom Burst. Boom Burst can be really, really good in the early game to set up damage on your opponent's Pokemon, which will then allow you to get knockouts with Synchro Loud. Synchro Loud at maximum does 180 damage. If we can deal 50 damage to a benched Pokemon V or GX, that means that instead of doing 180, we're doing 230, which is going to knock out Pokemon like Zacian V and Zamazenta. So a really, really good little damage modifier there. I would 100% recommend getting some copies degrees of Telescopic Sight. So, this list, though it's not necessarily perfect, is definitely an upgrade on the list that we get in our V Battle Deck. I'm going to take it out onto the ladder and we'll see if we can't win ourselves a game with it. Now, before we get started, I will stress that it's not necessarily going to be easy to get wins with this deck on the ladder, obviously. It is an upgraded theme deck, so it's not going to quite get you the consistent wins that you would like. But when our opponent starts this poorly, we do have ourselves a chance. We've got a couple of level balls here. I'm going to use those to get access to as many Zubat as possible. I want to draw a ton of cards if I can. And then I'll copycat. It looks like my opponent doesn't necessarily have a lot going on. The only thing that I really want here is an energy, which I've found. We're looking pretty solid for next turn. If we want, we can Synchro Loud because we've got copies of Copycat. All we need to do is find one copy of Psychic Energy. And we also have Golbat and Crobat. A couple of Scoop Up Net as well, which is pretty good. So we'll see what the next turn brings us. Our opponent is playing Metagross V. That has 220 damage, 220 HP, sorry. So obviously we will want to try and hit this thing with Boom Burst a couple of times. I don't know exactly what my opponent is playing yet. It could be a Metagross V deck. It could be something completely different. This is the joy of playing these kind of lower ranked games, because you're gonna see a lot of different cards, which is always a lot of fun. Now, if they do bench down some Vs or otherwise, we're going to be really happy, because we'll be able to Telescopic Sight and set up a bunch of damage. If they don't, then we're going to try and get the Synchro Loud attack off. So we'll see which option they go for here. They're going to grab a Remoraid. So obviously this is some sort of Rapid Strike deck. Metagross is a Rapid Strike Pokemon after all, and Remoraid will be able to search out Rapid Strike cards from our opponent's deck. So if Dr. Feltersnatch, that's a very interesting name. If ever I've read one out, I very rarely read them out because sometimes things like that happen. They've just flipped double heads on Bullet Punch. That means that they deal 60 damage instead of 20. That's a bit annoying. So yeah, they haven't benched any Pokemon V. So what I'm thinking we're gonna do, I think we're gonna try and draw as many cards as possible. I'm gonna bring out this Remoraid here. I'm gonna scoop this Golbat up. I'm going to try and knock out the Remoraid, because it looks like my opponent's having a bit of a struggle. I want to make it as hard as possible for them to get the cards that they need. Now, I've got an Evo Incense. I will grab a Golbat. I can throw that down. We've got double Crobat in hand, which is good, but I might need to Copycat here. And yeah, we've not found ourselves an energy, so I'm thinking that Copycat is the best way to go. We'll shuffle our hand into our deck and then draw 6. And we've found ourselves a Psychic Energy as well. Oh no, hang on a second. If I attach the Psychic Energy... Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to Telescopic Sight onto the bench, and then I'm going to retreat and then use Boom Burst. The reason I did that was because I didn't have enough cards to have 6 in hand. If I attach the energy, I would go down to 5, and then I'd need to burn a Scoop Up Net to bring a Golbat and a Zubat into my hand. So yeah, I would have been the wrong amount of cards in hand. So we're not going to do that. We're gonna deal some damage, because next turn I can maybe knock this Metagross out, which would be great. If I could Synchro Loud this Metagross, that would be sweet. Looks like they are going to try and Synchro Hammer and knock out my Zubat. They're going to get rid of 2 of my Telescopic Sights as well, which is very annoying. I don't like that at all. We'll wait and see what my opponent has in store for us here. Just a Synchro Hammer. So they're going to knock us out. They deal 60 damage. And as long as we can find ourselves a Dark Energy or a Psychic Energy this turn, we should be good. There's a Psychic Energy. Alright, so I'm feeling relatively happy. Let's Evo Incense. We'll grab Crobat. We need to get to 5 cards in hand, which shouldn't be too hard to do. We will Crobat here. We'll draw 3. Oh, we've got another Crobat if we want to play that. We might actually... Maybe let's just Scoop Up Net here. And then play down the Zubat, and then play down the Crobat. Ooh, let's play the Noivern, and then the Crobat again. Let's just draw some more cards. I like drawing cards. This is objectively wrong now that I'm thinking about it. We've been saved by picking up that Copycat. I was about to say, that route of play is probably not right, considering I want to Synchro Loud, but that's okay. We've been saved. We are going to retreat to the bench. We've got Dark and Psychic, which means that we can Synchro Loud, deal 180 damage, and take a knockout on our opponent's Metagross, which I'm very happy about. Now, hopefully, our opponent has a pretty weak hand, but we have given them plenty of time to get started on this one, and they have a Professor's Research as well. There's a Blaziken and a Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, so this looks like it's maybe a Rapid Strike box-style deck that just had a really bad start. I wouldn't be surprised to see like Sylveon and stuff coming down this turn. There's a Moltres there, okay, and a Rapid Strike Urshifu. So this is very, very interesting. I'm thinking that it's probably in our best interest. We've got 4 prizes left to take. Our opponent's gotten rid of 2 of our 3 telescopic sights, so I think it's going to be in our best interest to take 3 prizes on a VMAX and 1 prize on this artillery, because it'll slow my opponent down, but it'll also put some pressure on. I don't think it's realistic to expect to attack 3 times and take 4 prizes on Pokemon V, because they're likely to evolve them. So my gut feeling here is this turn we probably try and Synchro Loud into the Octillery, if we can. And then we'll go from there. We'll just see what happens. See what happens. They can retreat for free. They have Tower of Waters, which is obviously a very, very good stadium. Almost all of our Pokemon have free retreat regardless, so relatively happy with that. Going to attach to the Moltres and then Rapid Strike Search. I'm thinking that it's probably going to be a boss turn. If I can get my hand down to a relatively low size, that might be the way to go. Although, to be fair, I'm looking at this hand, I don't know how I'm going to get down to 3 cards. 1, 2... I mean, we could just boss, level ball, and attach a Dark. That could be a way to do it. No, we'd still have an extra card because we're going to draw. Ah, they're Dream Gifting. Okay, so that makes this a little bit easier for us. We've got some other options now. I think we're having a Quick Ball. Okay, so Energy Search. Right, let's play down this Golbat. We do want to get the Crobat eventually. We've got a Quick Ball and a Noivern and a Level Ball, which I like. I'll Level Ball for the Zubat here. We can put that in play, because now we've got a nice little waterfall of our Zubat line. We'll attach to the bench Noivern. 4, 1, 2, 3. I think we can get there. I think the Quick Ball lets us get there. Let's boss. We will bring up this Octillery, and then I think we need to Quick Ball, yeah, because we need to get down to 4 cards. So we will get rid of that Noivern and not take any Pokemon. Then we've got 4 cards each, so we can just Synchro Loud and take... I think we Synchro Loud and take this knockout. It's a bit of a risk, because it does mean that if our opponent doesn't evolve into any VMAXs, we still need to take 2 more knockouts. But, you know, I'm relatively confident that we can get there, and it is going to be hard to find that last Telescopic Sight. So this seems fine. This seems fine. And I'm actually surprised at how well this deck is working. It's done its job. It's got attackers in play. Our opponent did have a very slow start, so we do need to acknowledge that. But we've got Noiverns, we've got attackers, we've got all of our Crobats down. This Bat deck's doing fantastic, Batman. I'm sure I can come up with some sort of nifty Batman-related intro. You've already seen it. I haven't done it at this stage. At this stage, it's all but a glint in my eye, but you've already seen it, and you've already gone, ha, that was funny, and you left a like, which I appreciated. So, thank you. And you've also commented down below. I'm very aware that this video is not going to get as much interaction as my last few have, because I'm not giving away any cards. But it is worth noting that Pokemon Live has to be soon. It has to be soon. I've got no idea when it's coming out, but it has to be soon, which means that I'll be doing my giveaway of a ton of cards from my PTCGO account. We're going to be looking at doing that this weekend. So keep an eye out for a live stream update. That will be coming very, very soon. Let's attach. We're going to use our Golbats and Crobats here. I like getting an energy with Energy Search. We'll just thin our deck a little bit. In fact, we may as well do that multiple times here, because all of our Noiverns are set up. I will use this Crobat We'll see if we can't find ourselves some extra cards to use. I like the Marnie. I like the Scoop Up Net. I like the ability to Synchro Loud into this Urshifu V, I think. This seems smart. And then what we can do, how many cards have they got? 5. We need to get down to 5. We've got 7, so we can Quick Ball. I'm going to Quick Ball away the Crobat. We don't want that in play. And then we can just Synchro Loud, hit into this Urshifu V for 180 damage. Now, this is good for multiple reasons. Firstly, I expect this Urshifu VMAX is the card that they are most likely to want to attack with. If they can get a VMAX in play this turn, they are probably going to want to, and this Urshifu seems pretty good. Otherwise, what they'll do is they'll evolve into the Sylveon VMAX and attack into our Noivern. That's fine. We can then use Boom Burst and hopefully get a knockout on the Urshifu, put some damage onto a thing like the Blaziken or the Moltres, and then knock it out the turn after that, if possible. But we'll have to wait and see. They are evolving into the VMAX, so our risk here is kind of paid off. If they choose to Rapid Flow, I think we can actually win. They're going to research. Okay, so it's going to come down to our Marnie hand, I think. Or depending on how many cards our opponent plays. If they play down a couple of cards, we may not even need to Marnie. There goes a Evo Incense and a Sylveon. We are now sitting on the same amount of cards. We've got a Sylveon VMAX. They're going to evolve that. We are sitting on the same amount of cards. We are sitting on the exact same amount of cards. I think we might be about to win this game. Because they're going to G-Max Rapid Flow. They'll either take a prize or hit into the Noiverns. In which case, I can either attach an energy and take a knockout, or I can Marnie and try and play a card down and go from there. Alright, they're energy searching. They're reducing the amount of cards that they have in their hand. Very intelligent. Very smart. Trying to make it as difficult as possible for me to Synchro Loud this turn. Looks like they are going for the G-Max Rapid Flow. They've not done anything much here. Maybe they are going to retreat to the Sylveon and attack. No, they're Rapid Flowing. Okay, so where do they put that damage? They take a knockout on the Golbat. Fair enough, so they'll take a prize. They've got 5 cards in hand. I've got 6, but I've got energy, so all I need to do here is play down an energy onto any of my Pokemon and then Synchro Loud and take my last 3 prizes for the game. This Noivern deck is not actually that bad. So now you've seen the deck, let's see how good it really is. Cost-wise, ultimately, this is a very cheap deck. Being able to build it with most of the cards out of a V Battle deck is always very, very good. Consistency-wise, it's pretty good. It's got lots of consistency in it. The Crobat line is good, but power-wise, it is a little bit lacking. You will occasionally find yourself not dealing enough damage to win lots of games. The game that I showed then, we probably won because my opponent didn't do too much for the first couple of turns. But hey, still pretty solid. So there you have it. If you like this particular list and you want to play around with it, then feel free to do so. I'll be taking a look at the Rayquaza V Battle Deck in my next video, so make sure you stick around, make sure you subscribe so you catch that video as soon as it comes out, and like the video if you have enjoyed. Thank you very much everyone for coming. As always, I appreciate your attendance, and I'll see you next time for more from the Sableyes. Bye.